Can you hear me? Yeah, when you're ready. Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to Edensor Park, the Sydney United Sports Centre, the venue for our match of round 25 in the NPL New South Wales men's. Sydney United hosting APIA Leichhardt on Sunday afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to Edensor Park, the Sydney United Sports Centre, the venue for our match of round 25 in the NPL New South Wales men's. Sydney United 58 hosting APIA Leichhardt. And plenty on the line for both this afternoon. The hosts hoping to hold off the chasing pack in the hunt for the finals, while APIA need a win to guarantee their premiership defence lasts another week. Alex Molchanoff, delighted to be with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel this afternoon. A sunny Sunday greeting us in the southwest of Sydney. Let's take you to the team news. Two changes for Sydney United 58, coming off that 4-0 defeat by Rockdale Illingdon at the Illingdon Sports Centre last weekend. One of them enforced with Liam McGing sent off for his challenge on Matthew Cordier. So in comes number 5, Anthony Tomalich, to partner Adrian Vlastelica in the heart of defence. Oliver Kalatz in goal again. Bailey Rule wearing number 3 in his second game back from injury, with Jordan Ivancic on the left. Number 15, Tarek Meyer, and number 10, Carlos de Oliveira, do the screening job in front of them. Number 8, Shunta Nakamura at the point of a 3-man midfield. And 3 in attack, number 19, Aiden Milicevic off the right. Number 32, Mason Wells off the left. And number 13, Alessandro Lacalandra, entrusted with leading the line in the absence, at least initially, of Patrick Anselmi, who starts on the bench. APIA make 3 changes of their own after a 1-1 draw with Olympic in midweek. In goal again, number 1, Anthony Bazanis, a bit of a rejig at the back. Number 2, Saya Kambayashi in for Dakota Askew. Number 21, Michael Kuta, replaces the suspended Temba Muatamalo, alongside number 4, Josh Simmons, and his brother, number 25 today, Sean Simmons. Midfield 3 as well for Franco Parisi, number 18, the captain, Adrian Uccino, behind number 14, Jack Armson, and number 22, Eddie Caspers. Number 7, Jack Stewart, start here last season in the league game, which APIA won. He starts on the right. Number 11, Rory Jordan off the left, and number 9, Ben Gibson, the side's top scorer in the league this season up front. So we are ready here at the Sydney United Sports Centre. A healthy crowd in again this afternoon. Game that is of vast importance for their sides, but a poor run for APIA has put their runners premiers under threat. Anything less than the 3 points today means that the title could be out of their reach by the time they face league leaders Rockdale next weekend. When you add that with the fact they've lost their last 3 to Sydney United, including a 5-1 thumping in their first league meeting of the season, they need no added motivation this afternoon. United themselves, though, without a win in 3 coming into this one. A safe gap they'd built themselves ahead of the chasing pack in the hunt for the top 6 has quickly evaporated, so 3 points vital for them as well this afternoon. Jack Stewart was the star on APIA's visit here a season ago, and he's flicking that one forward. Jack Armson disbelieving that he wasn't given a free kick for a handball that looked, well, that's certainly what it looked like to have happened from up here. Craig Fisher had a better view. He's our central referee today, one of the most experienced in the New South Wales State Leagues. Waratah Cup finals, grand finals, all on his resume down the years. Big referee for a big occasion. Which, you know, almost lost that one in the sunlight. It's been a funny weekend in Sydney in terms of weather. We had almost gale force winds for the majority of the day yesterday. Led to some interesting results. The 0-0 between Sutherland and Sydney FC probably doesn't count as that, but Wanderers blown away by St George City, and then Hills United getting a convincing victory over Spirit FC at Landon Stadium in the last game of Saturday evening's fixtures. Sean Simmons, a change in number, not a change in role this afternoon. Starting at left back again today for Franco Parisi. He's got a little bit of a redemption story to tell if he is able to provide a positive influence today. He was sent off in the Waratah Cup final in the first half last season with APIA in the lead. Game turned on that moment. He'll be hoping to get a little bit of a redemption against the same side. That's not a bad ball for Ben Gibson, who might well have given APIA the lead had he been surer of foot. What a delicious delivery from Sean Simmons off the left. Seen him do that so many times down the years, and all it was missing was its finishing touch. Great start for APIA, one they badly needed. Title aspirations have all but slipped away over the last couple of weeks. Still alive mathematically. They can make things a little bit more nervy for Rockdale if they're able to win here today and then beat them next weekend. But that'll be easier said than done, although they do have a good record against this season's premiers-elect. They've started very brightly here. It's dazzling as the sunshine that greets us in Edensor Park this afternoon. Mason Wells making his second start for his new club. And an old manager in Zelko Kalatz at the Bulls Academy as Jordan fires that one at the near post. Not sure if he was trying to catch Kalatz out. Sydney United goalkeeper had his wits about him and was happy to see the ball thump back off the post. But it is the visitors who've started much the brighter here. Much to the displeasure of Zelko Kalatz, not the most demonstrative on the touchline, but he's already had to have early words with some of his players higher up the pitch. Which has been first to every loose ball in the opening 3 minutes or so, APIA. Which, you know, such an adept reader of the game. Sank at APIA so many times in the heart of their midfield. Captains them again today. Michael Kuda into the sides for Temba Moatamalo, who was perhaps a little bit unfortunate to be sent off in midweek against Sydney Olympic. APIA did well to get a result out of that game, having played so long a man down. Managing to get the equaliser after Abraham Majok had given their opposition the lead. Jordan is searching in behind. Sydney United have got to find a foothold in this game because the goal is coming if it continues in the same vein in which it started. Too many aimless balls forward like that. Anthony Tomalic bereft of options. First touch for Seiya Kambiyashi, starting at right fullback this afternoon in place of Dakota Askew. Jack Armson, the third addition to the side. Jordan Segreto making way on the bench this afternoon for APIA. Here's Kambiyashi. We know how effective he can be up the other end of the pitch. Led Manly United to a grand final as their number 10, wearing number 7, but playing in that position behind the striker. And he finds Armson here. Another early shot on target, but not really a meaningful save for Oliver Kalatz to make to this point. Finishing boots a little bit off target. Big job for Alessandro Lacolandra this afternoon in filling the big boots of Patrick Anselmi, who is available off the bench. The 20-year-old's had such a bright start to his Sydney United 58 career. He made his debut just over a year ago now. As an 18-year-old. Started that Waratah Cup final coming off the bench and provided the setup for the 2 extra time goals. Of course, the first of those assists for the man who's taken the place of this afternoon, Patrick Anselmi. Gibson with space to turn. Up here in their change strip of sky blue this afternoon. Good ball for Shunta Nakamura. His first meaningful touch and draws Josh Simmons into really wrestling him to the ground. Challenge the West Tigers would have been proud of just down the road from here at Campbelltown Stadium. That's a poor pass from Ivancic. Continuing at left back today with Matt Hatch still out injured. Jack Stewart looking to pounce on the error, twisting and turning, facing up to Vlastelica. That's a battle that's happened plenty of times down the years, and Vlastelica just able to slow his very skilled opponent. Stewart's got a pretty good goal-scoring record against the opposition today, as I've mentioned already. Scored on his last visit here. And a 3-1 victory for the visitors. But it's been a while since Sydney United have actually beaten APIA at home. They've got the job done in the last 3 games, none of which have been played here, though. 2 league fixtures at Lambert Park and Sydney Olympic Park Athletic Centre, as well as Leichhardt Oval in that Waratah Cup final of 2023. It's Tarek Maya searching for Milicevic. Scored the opener in the return fixture earlier in the season. And De Oliveira, it fell for him, but not after Shunta Nakamura had been adjudged to a foul Ducino. A couple of concurrent fixtures kicking off as we do here at 3 o'clock in the NPL New South Wales men's. Wollongong hosting St George FC. That's a fixture we'll keep you updated on because it's got implications for Sydney United, certainly. That chase for the top 6 and finals football. Central Coast Mariners taking on Blacktown City. A little less important, but I'm sure Sydney United supporters will be cheering the Mariners side on in that one. And the nightcap tonight between Rockdale and Sydney Olympic as Milicevic fires Sydney United's first shot on target of the afternoon. Fairly easily handled by Buzanes. Saw it all the way. Sydney United have got more goals from long range, and we say that outside the penalty area, than any other team in the competition this season. Here's Armson. Space to turn, and APIA just getting their foothold back in the game after starting so brightly. Room for Caspers to turn. Spread it wide for Jack Stewart, getting at the defence again. Ivancic timed his challenge to perfection. How about that from Jordan Ivancic? Long ball wasn't bad either. Gave Lakalandra a chance to try and bring it under his spell. Might not have anticipated it reaching him with Josh Simmons jumping up in front of him. Always makes it a little bit difficult for the player who stayed on the ground. Judge the ball in the air. There is a light breeze blowing as well today. Mentioned those gale force conditions we had yesterday. Blowing slightly in assistance of APIA in this first half from right to left as you're looking at the pitch. Michael Kuda, the futsal route. Sean Simmons has already delivered one telling cross into the area. Can he repeat the trick here? Well, he's managed to sit down Aiden Milicevic. Here's Rory Jordan looking to work some space for himself to shoot. Didn't catch it quite as he would have liked, and it made the block fairly easy for Vlastelica, but United are really struggling to get out of their own half and even out of their own box at the moment. Stewart towards Gibson, away by Tomilic. First time we've really seen him utilised by Zelko Kalats as a centre-back in the league this season. Hasn't needed to change up the partnership, who have done such a good job. Vlastelica and Liam McGing. Sent off for the first time in his Sydney United career last weekend. An unfortunate incident with Mathieu Cordier. Things not going so well for APIA on the pitch in the last couple of games, but it's been good times for Franco Baresi, who's still finding time to chuck on the boots. He was the winner of the over 35s Champions of Champions with APIA Leichhardt's over 35s team, beating Mossman FC in the final. Don't envy any of the senior players who are still lacing up the boots and turning up to a game and finding out that the one-time A-League men's player and one of the best ever to lace the boots up in the New South Wales State Leagues was out there. And David Taputo just looking to change the fortunes of APIA. They've got the big run of fixtures keep on coming. This is their 5th competitive game in 14 days, and then it'll be up to 6 games in 17 days when they take on Blacktown City on Wednesday night in the second semi-final of the Waratah Cup out at Landon Stadium. Looking for a bit of revenge there. I mentioned that might be playing a small part in the back of their minds this afternoon. Having lost their last couple of big fixtures to United, but Blacktown City really did a job on them in the early round of the league season. Their first visit to Landon ended 6-3 in favour of the hosts that night. Sitting just above them on the table coming into the afternoon. Just see that ball holding up in the wind. Kalat's got plenty of purchase on it, but the wind just holding it up a little, pushing it towards Ben Gibson, and Tomilic is the first booking for that rather crude challenge on Ben Gibson. the first to misjudge the ball in the air this afternoon. I doubt he'll be the last. Strong breeze blowing. Gibson got his body between the defender and the ball. Wins a free kick in a fairly dangerous area for APIA. Neither of these teams have been particularly prolific from attacking set pieces so far this season. APIA's amount of goals from open play has been so impressive. League's leading scorers to this point. Looking to strike an early blow here. Only half away by Vlastelica, and Ivancic got something on it, which in the end made it a little easier for Kalats to come and claim. Been a little bit rushed in their distribution, Sydney United, trying to catch APIA out on the counter-attack, which a couple of teams have found some success with over the past couple of weeks. Parisi making sure to rotate his side somewhat again today. After a bright start from APIA, it's been a fairly even last 5 minutes or so. Bailey Rule summing up his options. You can see that knee strapped. He's been out with a long-term knee injury before his return to the starting lineup last weekend, after playing nearly 40 matches across his first season in Sydney United red, and that's another early yellow card going United's way. Carlos de Oliveira with a cynical challenge from behind on Rory Jordan, who's lost his boot under the challenge. Two very early bookings for United. De Oliveira has already served a suspension for totting up the bookings this season. That's his 6th of the 2024 year. One to Anthony Tomalic means that he's set to mix the next game, because that was his 5th of this season. Drifted in again by Armstrong. Josh Simmons getting the flick on off the post. It would have been a collector's item. He doesn't get too many, Josh Simmons. But he read the flight of the ball in the wind better than anybody. And with his back almost completely to goal, almost found a way into the back of the net and past Oliver Kalats. Not to be, but the warning signs are there for Sydney United in the opening quarter of an hour. Ball touch from Jordan. If he's still counting the costs of that kick in the back of the heel that he took from de Oliveira a couple of minutes ago. Vlastelica, and this is where Sydney United like to build from. The ball up in the opposition half. Just set up their attack. Ivancic's pass was initially misdirected. Mason Wells has not had too many touches of the football in his second start in new colours. Let's turn that one over. Nice ball forward from Uchino, and it gives APIA a chance to strike on the break themselves. Gibson loves to run off the shoulder. Has he got the vision to pick out a teammate? Holds it up for Stewart. I think it was a half cross, half shot. In the end, a little bit of pressure being applied by the retreating United midfield. Promising signs continuing for APIA. Localandro looking to come deep and get himself a little more involved. Rather isolated in the opening quarter of an hour up front. 15 minutes that have raced by. Good watch, good tempo. You're watching two of the best teams in the NPL New South Wales this afternoon. Quality of the match has given you that reminder if you needed it. De Oliveira for Nakamura. And this time it's Sean Simmons diving in, and there's a couple of Sydney United fans making the argument to referee Craig Fisher that was very similar, and Sydney United took it short, and now the protests will come the other way from the APIA players. That shot by Tarek Maya has gone over, and now Craig Fisher pulls it all up. I don't think he was even really looking at where the ball had gone after that, the referee. Checking on the well-being of the United player who'd ended up on the ground. So no wall for Bezanis. Understanding that United were more likely to go short, that's exactly what they've done. Mason Wells has had it nicked off his toe again. De Oliveira wanting the initial clearance, and then Armstrong just hoisting it down the other end. Milicevic. Very different start to the first two fixture between these two in the league, when it was Sydney United who came out doing all the running and got the early goals to show for it. APIA have done the prior, yet to do the latter. De Oliveira, measured cross, held up for rule, and Sean Simmons almost dribbling it off his own line. Ian Bazana's getting in a little bit of a mix-up. All's well that ends well for APIA. Heart-in-mouth moment for the Leichhardt supporters, that's for sure. Chances down both ends. Milicevic for Nakamura. De Oliveira has been in such good goal-scoring form this season. He had to think about lining up. Mason Wells trying to wrestle his way through. He's got through 2 or 3. And then Nakamura's effort was blocked by Kuta, and now it's APIA who can't get out of their own box. Nakamura. Very high ball forwards, coming together between De Oliveira and Saya Kabayashi, rather. That's all it was. Bit for the referees to get their eyes on, plenty for us to feast on in a footballing sense. Gripping stuff to start this all-important encounter between two of the historic clubs in Australian football. Stewart always loves coming to Edensor Park, and he's getting a shot away, which had Kalatz diving for his post, but always fairly confident that it was drifting wide. Vassilitsa just trying to give his side a measure of calm. That was a clever touch from Wells. Lakalandra, whose greatest asset, as well as his crossing vision, is his pace. He's been used more regularly by both Miro Vlastelica last season and Zoko Kalatz this year as a wider player. Trusted with leading the line today. Patrick Anselmi, as I've mentioned, available off the bench. Josh Simmons for Kambayashi. It's the sort of option that Kambayashi gives them. In contrast to Askew, he's a player who's happy to step into midfield and try and turn and get the team going forward as well. Give APIA an extra number through that area of the pitch. Comes back to the Japanese fullback. Exploring the space inside, had it nicked off him by Carlos De Oliveira, who then won the free kick off Rory Jordan. De Oliveira wants to get it going, and the ball was rolling, which is why Craig Fisher had no choice but to stop play. Well, we were expecting a tight, tense tussle. Well, that's what we're getting to this point in the first half. Update from around the grounds down in Wollongong. The Wolves have taken an early lead over St George FC. In that encounter, sitting at the 28th minute mark, still scoreless between the Central Coast Mariners and Blacktown City up at Plume Park. Seb Hernandez getting the goal for Wollongong. Player who spent plenty of time here. Member of the Bulls Academy. There's a couple of players on the pitch who are more than well acquainted with the Sydney United Sports Centre through their time with its secondary tenant. Simmons for Stewart. He's picked up quite a bit of space between midfield and defence. Headed straight back to him by Tomilic. Now Kabayashi. Stewart again, flashing forward in those pink boots. Caspers. Presence of De Oliveira forced him to turn back. APIA building an attack nicely here. Pace has gone out of it a little, so they go back for Josh Simmons. Sean Simmons, who'll look to line up on his left, either to cross or shoot. Just pondered over it for a moment too long. Shunta Nakamura able to carry the ball out of trouble for Sydney United. Perhaps get a counter-attack launch. That's exactly what they've done. Beautifully weighted pass by Milicevic. Nakamura, still more blue shirts than red, but Nakamura was inches away from giving the host the lead. The counter-attack which he started and was millimetres away from finishing off. Lovely little return pass from Milicevic. Man who played in a grand final here at the end of last year for the Central Coast Mariners Academy. He's become a fan favourite, spent a little bit of time out over the past couple of months with a hamstring injury. But he's returned to the starting team for the first time last weekend. Boy, aren't they glad to have him back. Josh Simmons. APIA's early dominance has somewhat dissipated. Still having more than the majority of possession, but that won't worry Sydney United 58 too much. They've had less of the football than any other team in the competition this season, and it's still one of its better scoring teams. Lakalandra for Nakamura, and now De Oliveira. This is why they get bodies forward so quickly. De Oliveira with his head in his hands because he just maybe took the wrong option, maybe put a little too much pace on the pass, and there was just a coming together off the ball there between Craig Fisher and Jack Armson, who were both occupied in other directions and didn't see the other coming. Kind of apology offered by the referee. Wouldn't want to run into Craig Fisher. He's a big figure, an imposing figure, with the referee's whistle in his mouth. Josh Simmons. And APIA's direction through midfield has just all gone missing in the last 5 minutes. Allowed Sydney United back into this game. If you're looking at it from the other's perspective, you can say that Sydney United have worked themselves into a position where they're getting the ball forward more often, winning the ball higher up the pitch, being a little bit more proactive defensively. Maya. Haven't seen too much of him. You always know Sydney United are in full flow when he's seeing plenty of the ball through the middle of the park. Ivancic, highest we've seen him this afternoon. Searching for Lakalandra, who won the ball in the air but wasn't able to put any sort of pace on it to trouble Anthony Bazanis. Had a good first season at the club after making the move from the Sutherland Sharks. He's one of the standouts really in the goalkeeping side of things. In a team that were losing a lot more games than they were winning. After the retirement of Ivan Nechevsky, who did such a superb job between the APIA Leichhardt goalposts for so long. Nakamura, not for the first time this afternoon, fouled, retreating towards his own goal to try and pick up the ball. This time Uchino giving him a polite little shove in the back. Up towards Lakalandra, and again he and Kuda diving into a challenge. He's got a big task on his hands this afternoon, Alessandro Lakalandra. Wasn't the most controlled touchback from De Oliveira, but it's worked out in the favour of Ivancic, who is between Stewart and the byline. Just look at that wind hold the ball up. It gave Wells the chance to attack it in the end, and now Lakalandra can face up his defender and beat him. Lakalandra, and a well-timed challenge by Sean Simmons, who was back to sweep up and landing very sharply on his head there. Alessandro Lakalandra, credit to Craig Fisher, who spotted that immediately, held up the play. APIA Leichhardt have got to be very, very careful that they don't concede those chances in transition. It was a real problem they had in the loss earlier in the year. Sydney United just seemed to be able to get forward at will in transition and really cut them to ribbons in that area of the game. Back in round 10. It's almost a makeshift quarter time break, this one, as we wait to see how Alessandro Lacalandra will pull up. As I mentioned a couple of times earlier in the broadcast, Patrick can tell me is the like-for-like switch if Zeljko Kalac is forced to go to his bench. Louis de Troyer is there as well. Or rather on the APIA Leichhardt side he is. Matt Hatch is fit enough for the bench today, so he's another player who can come in and play an attacking role. Should United look to do that, or Stefan de Robillard. Anthony Krilic, the youngster, is there as well. Player restarts with a drop ball. Still no other goals to update you on from elsewhere. Wollongong's goal early in that clash with St George FC. The only one there, still scoreless up at Plume Park between Blacktown City and the Mariners. Sean Simmons forward from left fullback. Hoisting it high into the sky, holding up in the wind again. Stewart! Struck that so sweetly. And Adrian Vlastelica was positioned to perfection to turn it behind for a corner. Those two almost having a little ongoing running battle. APIA had just given back the impetus in this one for 10 minutes or so. They're looking to seize it back. Armson's floating ball, and Josh Simmons was lurking around the back post. There was a touch in there that took it away from him. He felt it was off a Sydney United player. The referee agrees. Zeljko Kalac just coming to the edge of his technical area to tell Alessandro Lacalandra to push a little bit higher. He wants him almost on the halfway line all the time. Nakamura taking the wrong option. You don't see him do that too often. Jordan for Simmons. And Milicevic came from behind to try and win the ball, which is why the free kick was given. Sydney United will argue that he got it. I've no doubt he did, but got to be absolutely spot on when challenging from behind an opposition player like that. Milicevic just getting his angles a little wrong. So set piece opportunities just starting to build up for APIA Leichhardt as we tick past the half-hour mark here in Edensor Park. See the line of red, everyone back behind the ball to defend this. Uchino goes direct, curled it around the wall, claiming there was a touch. And there wasn't. Uchino perhaps with a wry smile as he returns to his position, was knowing that there was no such touch as he was claiming. Very well struck by the APIA Leichhardt skipper. Nice touch from Mason Wells, and that's allowed Shunta Nakamura to get there. APIA just switching off for a moment in their own half. Not made to pay the full price though, as the Oliveira can only find Uchino. Did very well to scrap it out to Josh Simmons, who can give something more controlled going forward. Eddie Kaspers, haven't called his name too often in this first half. Inside for Stewart, seen him plenty. Drifting in off the right again. Beautifully marshalled by Jordan Ivancic. Hunted him down with every step. Say the same of Jordan, nicking it off Milicevic. And Armson's touch let him down. Worked out all right though. Gibson turning. Vlastelica there, and then following up with Tarek Meyer. He has it nicked off him by Kaspers. This is more of what we saw in the opening 15 minutes. Gibson has had a couple of gilt-edged opportunities in the opening half hour or so, and he's yet to force Oliver Kalac into a save. Not quite coming to APIA's young striker to this point in the fixture, but if he continues to get himself in the right positions, no doubt he'll take one of them eventually. One of the best goal scorers in the league this season, with 15 in his 22 appearances to this point. Sean Simmons not able to keep that one in play. Bailey Rule. Sum up his options going forward. Finds Milicevic well. Nakamura. Just over the touchline. It's been a frustrating afternoon so far for the Japanese midfielder. He's just been a yard off here or there. In fact, he did manage to win the throw. Took the deflection off Sean Simmons' shin pad, I think. Vlastelica. And Ivancic. Sydney United getting forward in good numbers. Not the delivery that was required from their left back, though. Can't say it was Anthony Bazanis' best bit of distribution either, but sloppy touch from Ivancic allows APIA to try and get forward in transition themselves. Stewart's having fun out there so far. He's not been able to fashion a meaningful opportunity for himself to this point, but he's looking dangerous, as is Rory Jordan. Loves to be in those tight areas. Had it nicked off his toe by Tarek Maya. United have been so watchful in their defensive work. There's been plenty of it to get through. Uchino for Caspers. Sporting the long sleeves on this cool afternoon. Trying to play in these delicate spaces, APIA. It's always going to be difficult to work their way through 6 defensive players as United have set up, with De Oliveira and Tarek Maya both being very disciplined in a screening job they've been given this afternoon. A little bit deeper than we've seen De Oliveira over the majority of the season, over the past couple of weeks for Zelko Kalats. He's had a fine season. He's first in red, white and blue after making the move from Blacktown City in the summer. The game he's missed so far this year is due to the suspension he picked up for the 5 bookings. Another firm challenge from the man we're talking about. Kamiyashi for Kuta. Simmons using his right, not quite measuring it. Wind carrying it out of play. I can't understate how much of the impact that breeze is having. And the ball's being played forward. Making it a little bit more difficult to judge for APIA players trying to play balls that get their strikers in behind the United defence, and really seeing the ball hold up in these sort of aerial situations when United go up for the ball in an attacking sense down this end of the pitch. Just under 10 minutes to play here. Post struck inadvertently by APIA Leichhardt early in the half before Ben Gibson turned up a gilt-edged opportunity when he was one-on-one with Kalats and couldn't force him into the save. Sean Simmons almost dribbling the ball off Anthony Bazanis' line down the other end is the closest that Sydney United have come to this point. Ben Gibson choosing to go in the air rather than on the ground, which made it difficult for Jordan. He's not the tallest. He's got plenty of spring in his legs, but even he couldn't climb high enough to reach that one. Ooh, with a rather genteel throw in, and Tarek Maya using all those years of experience just to knock it off the pressing player and win his side a pressure relieving goal kick. 26 years of age now, Tarek Maya had 6 Joey's appearances as a youngster. He's one of the heroes in their run to the Australia Cup final a couple of years ago now. Scored here against Western United. A fantastic game that was on an afternoon not dissimilar to this one. Josh Simmons for Eddie Caspers. Nice touch from Rule. Could have had that nicked off him by Rory Jordan. As it is, he's driving the other way. Milicevic. Maya. And now Nakamura. Vlastelica. Good ball forward for Jordan Ivancic. He's getting forward more and more regularly as this first half wears on. Chance for Wells to try and line up a cross. Chooses the short option of Nakamura. With Chino on his toes. Was De Oliveira. How's the run and the movement off the ball from Shota Nakamura? Has he got a telling delivery? Opts to go back to Ivancic. Now it's United's turn to build a attack around the edge of their opposition penalty area patiently. There's been some terrific football around the edge of both areas. You have to say the defence has matched it to this point, given the scoreline. Vlastelica. Nakamura got the better of Uchino and got the shot away, which gave Bizanis a bit to think about, only because it travelled through so many bodies, but wasn't hit with enough pace to really trouble him once it had made its way through there. Able to dive away to his left and hold the shot. Alex Molchanoff along with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel this afternoon. Reminder, if you're looking to keep up with all the action from the NPL New South Wales, just go and have a look for us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. You'll find behind the scenes stuff from Jude Dolan today. Our match of the round featured particularly on Instagram, but any of your favoured social media platforms, just search at NPL NSW. Find all the match highlights, previews, reviews, everything happening around the competition, as well as the women's and down the Football New South Wales leagues. Chance for United to go in transition. Lakalandra was offside. Bit of ill-discipline from Lakalandra there. He could see the whole way along the line. Just made his step a little too early. Just a bit needless, really. Okay, maybe that De Oliveira took one more touch than he might have, but still space for him to drive into. Say that APIA Leichhardt have edged this first half, but it's been short of dominant, that's for sure. Oh, Kalat's coming and not able to claim. Fortunately, there was no one in sky blue behind him, and Bailey Rule was just able to cut the ball away. It's Josh Simmons. Kamiyashi taking on that inverted wing-back position. Armson, who really has been marked out of the game to this point. That's a crude challenge from Josh Simmons, who claims he got the ball, but once again, that might well have been the case. Went straight through the back of Tarek Maya to try and get it. Been a busy first half for Craig Fisher. 4 times that yellow card has popped out of his pocket. Two players on each team finding their way into trouble with the referee. It's been such an arm wrestle this first half. So much on the line for both these teams today. APIA looking to keep their premiership defence alive. Sydney United trying to shrug off the chasing pack in the race for the finals. Top 6 positions. They come in this afternoon occupying 5th spot. APIA coming in 3rd, but pretty safely in there. In fact, not far away from securing their own spot in the finals. They do get a win today. Be able to lock that up with a win next week. Rockdale Illingdon on the horizon for them. Plenty of football to get through here first at Adenza Park, where we're still scoreless. Lakalandra for Wells. This young attacking line for Zelko Kalats, looking to try and cook something up just before the break. Milicevic dived into the challenge on Jordan, and there was the referee's whistle after just hesitating a second. It was right to blow it, Craig Fisher, despite the protestations of Jack Armson. Ben Gibson was the only one in blue high up the pitch, so no real advantage opportunity there. Been a tidy display from the referee. It's not like he hasn't had plenty of decisions to make. Kept a lid on any of the animosity that might have evolved. These sets of players know each other pretty well. Good ball from Stewart and Gibson. There was a coming together between he and Tomalich. Tomalich just easing him off it. The appeals for a penalty all really coming from the sidelines rather than the mouths of the APIA Leichhardt players. Josh Simmons there to sweep up. Get the sense that both teams won't just be searching for the sanctity of the changing room, although United are looking rather buoyed by what they've been able to produce in the last 5 minutes or so. Bailey Rule. Tomalich showing us his ball-playing ability. Usually a screening midfielder. It's not to say he hasn't spent periods of his career as a centre-back, but it's not where Željko Kalac has elected to use him for the majority of the season, with Liam McGing partnering Adrian Vlastelica. McGing out today through suspension. Touch infield from Rule. Need to get it back off Milicevic, and then Ucino knew he was going to be first to the ball. Bailey Rule arguing what he could really do there. Had to go into the challenge, but needed really to pull away, with Ucino always going to win that race. Make that 5 bookings for the first half. Can't imagine we'll have too much time added on at the end of this first half. Temperatures just starting to drop a little as the sun sets over Sydney's southwest. Here's Jack Stewart forward again. Present early, less so in the last half hour of this first half. Bit of an aimless ball in. There's been a couple of those from Jack this afternoon. Got into those promising positions often enough, but the quality once he's got there. You can say the same for Sydney United, largely. With the exception of Nakamura, they've not really been able to find the final ball. Blake Sanchez-Cruz, our 4th official today, just indicating that 2 minutes are set to be added on at the end of this first half. Curling ball from Sean Simmons, beautiful interception from Rule. Had to get there because Rory Jordan was really making his way into a very dangerous area. Can APIA get the goal they felt that they deserved over the course of this first half late in it? Jordan. It's taken late by Milicevic. Play on for now. Nakamura, touch forward from De Oliveira, nearly worked out. Lacalandra just a touch slow to react once Simmons had missed his clearance. Jordan belting it into Bailey Rule, who wanted the throw but didn't get it. And a very different game to the first one we saw between these two earlier in the season. We weren't expecting anything quite the same. Sydney United took a 4-0 lead into the dressing rooms in that one. APIA Leichhardt with the dominant force early, but that's somewhat subsided. Both teams having half opportunities. APIA looking to hurt them on the scoreboard. Kambiyashi straight into the palms of Oliver Kalac. But that's about the extent of what APIA have been able to muster in the past half hour. Better signs for Franco Parisi, though. Certainly Sydney United are going to have to change things up the attacking half of the pitch. Look pretty comfortable defensively for the last little while. It's been everything that's happening down the other end that is going to give Željko Kalac some headaches at the break. But after that opening 15 minutes, APIA's dominance largely subsided. A couple of good opportunities turned up. Most notably to Ben Gibson, who when one-on-one wasn't able to force Kalac into a save. Sydney United came back and had Sean Simmons basically whisk one off the line, with Anthony Pizzanis wrong-footed. Shota Nakamura able to sting the palms of Sydney United's goalkeeper towards the end of the opening 45 minutes that were a little bit tetchy at times. Certainly been plenty of action for us, the neutrals, but as both teams head to the sheds in the match of round 25 here from the Sydney United Sports Centre at Denzer Park, it is Sydney United 58-0, APIA Leichhardt 0. Welcome back to APIA Park, the Sydney United Sports Centre for APIA Leichhardt versus Sydney United 58. Scoreless at half-time. Ben Gibson with the best of the chances for the visitors in the first half after a very strong start to the game, which Sydney United really struggled to get a foothold. They managed to work their way back into it and nearly had a goal themselves when Sean Simmons basically had to dribble the ball off the line to prevent the hosts from taking the lead, but neither has been able to break that deadlock to this point. Both back out there without making any changes yet. Expect to see them pretty quickly should the scoreline not change in the opening 10 or 15 minutes of this second half. Both needing all 3 points today. APIA continuing their premiership push, which will be close to coming to an end if they fail to get anything more than 3 points. Sydney United looking to shrug off the chasing pack in the battle for the finals places. Just taking a moment, Adrian Vlastelic has chosen to go with the undershirt for the second half. The temperature's dropping a little bit. Craig Fisher sharing a smile with him as he returns to the pitch. But all is in readiness with the Sydney United 58 captain in position. APIA set to kick from left to right in this second half, wearing their changed strip of sky blue. We are back underway. Alex Molchanoff with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel today. The match of round 25 in the NPL New South Wales men's competition. Yet to give us a goal. It's given us plenty in the way of bookings because there have been challenges like that flying in all day. Rory Jordan's been able to scramble his way around most of them. Jack Armstrong didn't have much of a say in the first half. He'll look to grow his influence in the second. Jack Stewart's had the bit between his teeth and he's getting another shot away. This time it's blocked by Mason Wells. Sean Simmons nearly had a couple of assists for himself in the second half from left fullback. It's forward again here. APIA looking to start this second half as they started the first on the front foot. Jordan just not getting enough purchase on his pass forwards. Fairly easily read by Bailey Rule, and now Gibson diving back. De Oliveira feeling he had a lot of the pitch in front of him to run into. Referee Fisher choosing to keep his cards in his pocket this time. The changes were the topic of conversation up here. Some media and a couple of other onlookers in the Bokkers stands during the break. Sydney United 58 have got Patrick and Telmy lurking there. They've also got Stefan de Robillard and Matt Hatch, both deadly attacking weapons. It's for APIA Leichhardt. Louis Detroit has already proved himself a more than able substitute for Ben Gibson, who's looking to get himself on the score sheet to start this second half. Not the first time he's stung the palms of Oliver Kalatz over the course of the match so far. Hasn't been able to beat him yet. First save of the second half made by the Sydney United glovesman. It's been a game played with plenty of energy. There was almost a bit of nervousness in the opening 10 or 15 minutes, which has fallen by the wayside as the players have got into the flow of the game. It's really been about the way that each goes about unpicking the other's defence. Josh Simmons has been the base for a lot of APIA's play out from the back. No different here, so Kambiashi's been underlapping all afternoon. Armson drawing the challenge from De Oliveira. He's just walking a little bit of a tightrope. He did go into the notebook in the first half. I don't think there was any danger of that happening there, but he has considered a free kick in another dangerous area for APIA Leichhardt. As we touched on in the first half, it's not been the most fruitful way to goal for either team this season. Can APIA go some way to changing the narrative here? Two on the wall for Oliver Kalatz. Not the biggest wall, with Hayden Milicevic and Shunta Nakamura standing in it. Armstrong gets it around them. Oh, it wasn't it an inviting ball, and Sean Simmons might not have anticipated the ball coming all the way through to him. Terrific delivery from Jack Armstrong, just bending into that avenue of apprehension for the defence. Managed to scramble it away in the end, but APIA are coming with another flurry in the opening parts of this second half. Stewart breezes past Wells. Beautifully read by Vlastelica. He has been in the way of absolutely everything today. About his usual defensive partner back there in Liam McGing. First time that's been the case this season. Jordan gives Gibson something to chase, and he gets there ahead of Vlastelica. Stewart ducking in on his left. Just too many red shirts. Still he goes, Stewart, and Ivancic timed his challenge well enough. Then was still lying on the ground. The ball struck his prostrate body. And then it's Ivancic's job to try and clear. It's nicked off Nakamura by Kaspers. Looking to get a shot away on his left foot. Couldn't do that, so found Simmons. Sean, that is. Ruchino back out to the right where Kambayashi's waiting. Stewart doesn't need a second invitation to shoot. Instead goes to Jordan. Beaten away by Kalatz into a dangerous area, but Milicevic was there to make the clearance. Pressure continuing to build on the hosts. Ruchino for Armson. Interception by De Oliveira. He's had to get through a lot of defensive work so far this afternoon. Ruchino not doing enough to get that going forward. Nakamura bending it in behind. Like a lander in a foot race with Kuda, who was pressured enough just to stick the ball into the advertising hoardings on the far side. And then a foul throw of all things. Sloppy bit of play from Shunta Nakamura. Turns the ball over cheaply in a promising area for Sydney United, who really needed to just have the ball down the other end and give their defenders a breather. Been under attack again in the early stages of their second half. Nakamura trying to continue that. Ball only found Tomilic, but then he won it back. Jordan. His touch lets him down. Only Rule making the intervention. Ruchino sliding in. It's a turnover a second at the minute. And then Ivancic taking Wells all the way to the touchline. Josh Simmons followed him and then won the ball back for APIA. United have faced this conundrum a couple of times over the course of the match where they're just struggling to get out of their own half. And then Tarek Meyer pondering too long on it. Don't see him do that too often. Jordan in for Armson, and a very good save from Kalatz, who keeps Sydney United level. No thanks to his defence, who are inviting pressure at the minute. First time, really, Armson's managed to find his way in behind. He's such a good goal-scoring threat for APIA when he is able to get into those positions. Been well marshalled so far, but well, he's not in position after the turnover so deep in their own half there. But again, they've turned it over in midfield, Sydney United. This time it's Gibson off the shoulder. Looking to get the shot away, and Kalatz had his angles right. Beats it into the side netting. So it was a turnover a minute. It's a shot a minute at the moment for APIA. What's the answer for Zelko Kalatz in looking to turn the tide? There's three players up. The three I've mentioned as attacking options for him. And Selmy Hatch and Stefan de Robillard. How soon until we see that first change? A defensive corner to deal with first for Sydney United. Sean Simmons was the target at the near post. He missed the header. Jordan, not offed up for set pieces like that, is able to retrieve. Little step over through there. Once again, every time an APIA players look to run at the defence, there's been 4 or 5 Sydney United players more than happy to stick themselves between the player running with the ball and the goal. Armson growing in influence. Ball was cut off that time. Deflected for Uchino. Now Stewart. This time it's Wells getting back doing some defending, and he's found by his former Bulls Academy teammate Jordan Ivancic. Lakalandra with the first chance to stretch his legs in the second half, but Kuda watched him all the way, and then despite the touch taking place off Michael Kuda, the ball had already travelled behind. Fairly easy decision for a goal kick. It's a crowd that are growing in voice. It's a frustrated United voice at the moment. Again, not unfolding as they'd like to see it, but they are still level. No small part thanks to Oliver Kallatz, who's started this second half very brightly, although seeing a bit more of the ball than I'm sure he would hope. APIA building another attack. Nice and patient this time. Armson. Chino using all his years of experience at the heart of that APIA midfield. Spent time early in his career over in Italy in Serie C with Sangiovese. It's Michael Kuda. Gorgeous left foot of Sean Simmons. What's it got in its locker? Steps past Milicevic. Oh, pass was off the mark, which is something you don't say too often about one from Sean Simmons. Again, there's just not enough options high up the pitch for United at the moment. Jordan. Difficult one to strike. Just came to him on the half volley after he took it on his chest. But the effort's applauded by his teammates, and Zeljko Kallatz has seen enough. Time for changes. It's going to be the two young wingers who are the first removed. So Alessandro Lacalandro will move to the right, so Robillard will come to the left, and Patrick Anselmi, who's given 35 minutes to try and find a goal that would be so precious to Sydney United now. Kallatz has not been patient in looking to change the game. His team managed to arrest the slide early in the first half rather, but the second has returned really to the pattern of play that we saw plenty of in the first. And that just won't do for the hosts. So the APIA players down there behind Jordan Ivancic warming up. No doubt a couple of those will be introduced. Jordan Segreto has been in fine form over a bit of a lean period for APIA. Got a wonderful free kick a couple of weeks ago against the Wollongong Wolves. In fact, that was last weekend. At home against Wollongong. Only managed a 1-1 draw though. Both those goals coming in the second half. APIA will be hoping that they get the goal this weekend and they're able to defend it. Simmons looking to get to the byline, but those legs aren't quite as quick as they once were. Can't wrangle it before it crossed the byline. Updates from elsewhere. The Central Coast Mariners have got an equalizer against Blacktown City, who went level into the break ahead by a goal to nil. The Mariners have found a second half equalizer there. Wollongong still holding their goal to nil advantage over St George FC down in the Illawarra. So, as things stand, right at the minute, Wollongong would be just a point behind Sydney United and into the finals places. St George City 2 behind at the end of the afternoon in the race for the top 6 as things stand. That would leave United and Wollongong as the final 2 teams into the finals. APIA Leichhardt would be sitting in 3rd, but 10 points behind Rockdale Illingdon ahead of their clash with Sydney Olympic at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Robillard trying to make that a worse looking outcome for APIA and Anthony Bazanis. It might have been headed wide, but he wasn't to know that. And he has to push the ball behind. Immediate impact from Stefan de Robillard, the substitute. Ducking in on the left on his favoured right foot. Forcing the first meaningful save I can remember from the APIA keeper, who was bailed out by Sean Simmons once in the first half, but it's the first save he's made himself. Craig Fisher just directing the 2 ball kids behind the net to make sure they're well and truly out of the way. Mr. Robillard looks to take the corner, which he won. Vlastelica was the target, just floated beyond him. Kambiyashi out to meet the United skipper. Oh, how's the back heel? Not something you'd expect from a centre half. Nearly ended very nicely for United. Nakamura putting in a dangerous ball. De Oliveira did well to judge the ball in the wind, but his header was only to Sean Simmons in sky blue. Driven ball well cut out by Tomalic. It's just been such a watchful defensive performance from he and Vlastelica this afternoon. Jack Stewart resuming his running down the right-hand side. His ball in field was cut off by De Oliveira. Not quite as bright a performance from Jack as we saw from him last time he visited Edensor Park. Kuda finding himself in midfield somewhere he's not uncomfortable. He's a current member of the Australian national futsal team. Jordan with a bit of a sloppy touch that invited a bit of a loose challenge from Ivancic, but it was his presence that forced the error. And I mentioned I thought we might see Jordan Segreto sooner rather than later. He's about to be introduced by Franco Parisi. And Uccino just dragging de Robillard to the turf very cynically, ensuring that the counter-attack didn't unfold any further. Second APIA Leichhardt name in the book this afternoon. Alongside Josh Simmons. No mistaking what Uccino's intentions were, and that's a rather wasteful free kick from Adrian Vlastelica. Such a cultured left foot, but didn't show it off there. That was much better from Sean Simmons. And Ben Gibson's drifted into a wide position here. Now he engages Tomalic. Looks to go to the byline. He's beaten him there. And Ivancic having to sweep up the danger. Had he not got there, Stewart had a tap in. United looking to get play restarted quickly. Both teams looking to lift the tempo in the second half. About a half hour remaining of regular time here in this round 25 fixture. Maya for Vlastelica is looking long again. Simmons with a cushioned header for Kambiyashi. De Robillard's pressure was too much and it won the free kick. The industry and endeavour, along with the technical ability of Stefan de Robillard, is causing APIA some serious issues down the left-hand side. Funnily enough, Sydney United have not scored a goal from a corner or an indirect free kick like this all season in the league. If you're a United supporter, they're due. All curled in, and they might just get one here. Vlastelica off the line. Lakalandra gives Sydney United the lead. It wasn't pretty, but they don't paint pictures on the scoreboard. And it's the hosts who strike the first blow. Alessandro Lakalandra entrusted with the lone striking role today. He's been joined by Antelmi since then, but it's he who gets the goal. And that could be a big, big one in United's chase for a top six spot. It could be a death blow to APIA Leichhardt's premiership aspirations. There were a couple of chances to clear. They weren't able to do it. And after dominating for such long periods of this match, they've now got to chase another game. It's becoming an all too familiar situation for Parisi and his team. They managed to do it a couple of weeks ago against Sutherland, and they trailed by 2-0 on that day. But they weren't able to win all 3 points after going down a goal against Olympic in midweek. They were down a man then, they're not now. They've shown enough to be still hopeful of getting a quick equaliser here, but Sydney United will redouble their efforts defensively. Stewart drifting out to the left now. Armson with plenty of time Tarek Meyer getting his angle spot on to block. Third goal in the league this season for Alessandro Lacalandra, fifth in all competitions. He's been such a handy addition for Zelko Karlats as he was for Mirov Vlastelica last year. Goes from strength to strength for Sydney United youngster. Ivancic not able to clear. Jordan gets it back and looking to thread it through for Segreto. Vlastelica's clearance was no nonsense. You hear it crash onto the roof of the Boca stand. Give us a little bit of atmosphere up here through LFX mics. Segreto has already been present early. Just trying to get it done in those really tight spaces, APIA. Want it back high, Segreto lining up, and De Oliveira diving in front of another strike. Gibson has got those dancing feet, but Rule wasn't tricked by them. And tell me, first real touch I can remember him having. Bailey Rule felt he was taken late. And tell me shrugs off the attentions of Kuda. Lacalandra had timed his run this time. Learning from a similar situation in the first half, couldn't keep the ball in play though. And so that changes the complexion of the table again. United's buffer would now be 4 points from St George City, as it was at the start of the weekend. APIA's title defence could all be over by the end of the night if they're not able to find 2 goals here in the final 25 minutes. Stewart ducking and weaving his way past to Robillard. Infield for Armson, whose touch let him down. Meyer there to sweep up, and Lacalandra, the goal scorer, is happy to go anywhere but here, but that won't be enough for Sydney United. They're not going to be able to absorb this amount of pressure. As good as their defence has been this afternoon and all season, APIA just have too many attacking threats. Need to be able to keep the ball as well, or find a second goal. Kambiyashi for Armson. APIA are used to this situation over the past couple of weeks, as we've mentioned. It's not a situation that scares them, it's more the fact that Sydney United's defence has stood up so doggedly over the course of the match so far. Karlats looking for more energy. First 2 subs worked out pretty well, so why not try another couple? Adam Zervas and Matt Hatch being readied now. Robillard winning the free kick that United ended up scoring from, or the corner rather. Patrick Anselmi causing all sorts of havoc in the box around the area of the strike. So Jordan Ivancic, oh in fact it's Bailey Rule, sorry. It's being removed, and Jordan Ivancic is coming off down this flank. So like for like switches of the 2 fullbacks. Zervas, a central midfielder for most of his career to this point, so he has to play a slightly different position by Karlats this afternoon. Matt Hatch has been deployed very usefully as a left back all year. Decision has gone APIA's way. I think it's a free kick as well, yeah. Good return for Bailey Rule, who gets to more than an hour's work again today. Promising display, his continued recuperation from that long-term injury, long-term knee injury, which kept him out of the majority of the start of this season. United with a lead to defend again against APIA. They've had the wood over this opposition over the past 12 months. That narrative is continuing here this afternoon. APIA looking to flip the script. Don't do it with balls forward like that. De Oliveira, and now Anselmi. This is where he loves to operate. And he's found Hatch, who has fresh legs. The speedy ones too. Returns the favour for Anselmi. That's a very smart save from Bizanis, skipping just in front of him. Saw it all the way, judged it well. I made the fingertip saves to push it round the post. Sean Simmons is the man down in back play, and he's signalled straight away. That's not a good sign for Franco Parisi. Things going from bad to worse here. That is going to be the end of Sean Simmons' afternoon. I don't think there's any doubt about it. There's some tests done on the hamstring, but it might just be to give APIA time to ready the substitute. It looks as though it's going to be Dakota Askew. Started the game in midweek against Sydney Olympic. And that was at right full back. He can be deployed on either. His second season at APIA, being part of the Premiership last year, making the move from Blacktown City. 27-year-old is just about ready. Now there's an injury concern for Sydney United with their goal scorer Alessandro Lacalandra down. It's going to be a double switch for Parisi. Two changes are better than one, he feels. It's going to be Luigi De Troia. He's been tasked with this role more than once this season, coming off the bench to try and find a goal. He's a legend down in the South Australian State League, the NPL, where he spent so many years with Campbelltown City, 5 times the champions of South Australia with them. So Jack Armson's afternoon is over as well. Just couldn't quite strike the right chord today, Jack. Questions about whether Lacalandra is going to be able to continue here. He copped almost a little bit of whiplash earlier when he fell sharply, and that looks as though it's going to be the same injury that takes him off. So the first senior Sydney United appearance for Anthony Krilic, who's spent the last couple of years with the Northbridge and then Bulls Academy. Oh, and Adam Zervas, in fact, Stefan de Robillard, who delivered such a keen in-swinging corner for the goal. Pushed out something quite the opposite with that delivery. So Krilic is on. See where he slots in. Looks as though he's gone to the right-hand side. Like for likes switch with Lacalandra. Smart ball from Hatch. APIA know they can't afford to cop a second. But De Oliveira is so dogged in his work through midfield, and he's still spinning away from players. Eventually, Caspers took it off him. Craig Fisher was thinking about stopping it, but APIA have got the advantage. It's Stewart. Oh, he just took one touch too many. Now drops it off. Oh, and De Troya's first touch. Well, he'd rather have that back. Let's put it that way. No, United want a free kick. Everyone upset with referee Craig Fisher. Seemed to judge everything pretty fairly from where I was sitting. De Troia, hoping his second touch is better than his first. Only picked out Vlastelica. Nakamura's header went up rather than out. Segreto keeping the attack alive along with the fresh legs of Dakota Askew down the left. And there were a couple of touches there. And now Craig Fisher is having a firm word with Carlos De Oliveira, who he booked early in the first half, and I think he's had enough of the rather one-sided conversation that's been taking place between he and the Sydney United midfielder. In turn, Eddie Caspers, much like Armson, has just not quite been on the same page as the players in front of him today. Blake Sanchez-Cruz is now copping the brunt of the criticism from the APIA Leichhardt bench. Always seems to be fairly polite, Franco Parisi. He can't always say the same for some of his assistants. Kambayashi could be key to unpicking Sydney United's defence by getting him further and further forward. Stewart. Tarek Meyer has done so brilliantly alongside De Oliveira, just cutting out everything that's been coming their way. Segreto playing screener this time for APIA. As Kambiyashi looked like he was getting forward, but he in the end had to just turn back and keep the football. Caspers and Jordan, Josh Simmons. Wearing the captain's armband with Uchino off the pitch now. It's not screening they need, it's forward thrust. Segreto certainly can provide that. It's all been very patient from APIA. Well, have earned their reward if they get it. Jordan! Another strike from him, flying high over Kalatz's crossbar. Temba Mwata-Malo, who's out through suspension today for APIA, standing up to offer some words of encouragement off the APIA bench. Plenty of time was his call. And he's not wrong about that. 15 minutes is more than enough to find a couple of goals to turn this game. Kuda over the top. Gibson retrieves the ball. Flying in was Zervas, but he missed the football. Askew. The Oliveira's won another ball off the toe of an opponent. In fact, that was Anthony Krilic. Detroit. Detroit just caught a little bit flat-footed there. Stewart played the ball into him. And then Kambiyashi's touch on the football, but conceded the throw. So having used a couple of his subs, or three of them, no, two of them, get it right eventually. There's still a couple there for Franco Parisi if he chooses to use them. Maxim Kasalovic and Nicozoni are the other two options. Both players who sit deeper. That's not to say Kasalovic can't make a difference to an attack with his ball-playing ability, but in terms of the players who are going to put the ball in the back of the net, they're all on the pitch now for APIA. Gibson running through the United technical area. Well, saw Matt Hatch get shrugged off it, and it was a delayed whistle, but it eventually came. Hatch was almost spun off it like a top. Well, if he needed a test for the injury, Matt Hatch, that was right there. Pressure relieving free kick for Sydney United 58. They managed to keep a clean sheet today. It will be some compliment to their defence. And now Oliver Kalatz has been booked for delaying the restart. Craig Fisher is drawn the ire of Zelko Kalatz for that decision. Craig Fisher coming all the way over to have a word with the Sydney United 58 coach. Just a ticking off, no booking for father like son. Smart header from Nikolic. Or Krilic, rather. First touch was good, the second one took it out of play. These fans on the hill who've crowded in a growing number over the course of the 90 minutes, now in their fullest voice of the afternoon with their side having a lead to protect. De Oliveira spinning through challenges, not awarded the foul. Simmons was blocked off by Shunta Nakamura. De Robillard was poised to have been retreating. I think he'll find himself in Craig Fisher's notebook. If you needed a sense of the desperation both sides have for the points this afternoon, you're seeing all you need to right now. Stewart, front of the pavilion and the King Tom Club. He hoisted over to the back post where Rory Jordan managed to get a touch on it, but it only trickled behind for another Sydney United goal kick. Results as they are, it's a four-point buffer that Sydney United would take away at the end of the round. APIA Leichhardt looking to keep their chase for the premiership alive, but it's looking increasingly likely that they'll be playing just for finals positions when they take on Rockdale in a week's time. All-time challenge from Segreto, not for the first time since he came on. APIA go about building another attack from the back. Kuda. Only goal from Alessandro Lacalandra, a scrappy one after a set piece that wasn't cleared by APIA Leichhardt. Their chances have really dried up since that goal. Rory Jordan firing over from the edge of the 18-yard box. That's been about the extent of the work, or extent to the shots that Oliver Callats has seen fired in at his goal, despite the fact that APIA have dominated with so much territory and possession in this second half as they did in the first. Casper Stewart, who is making a more permanent home for himself on the left after starting the afternoon on the right. Rescue for Detroit from the throw. Inside for Stewart. He's still the man that could punish United. And the ball which returned to him was fired high and wide. Gibson still full of running, but the ball's just not falling up his way now. Oliveira giving de Robillard something to chase. Pizzana's not feeling comfortable enough to take it inside his area. Has to hoist it clear. Nakamura, and much in contrast to what it was at the start of the game, where APIA seemed to be first to every 50-50. Seems United are now with something to protect. Serve as for Maya. This is building nicely for United. And tell me, Nakamura working for himself. Oh, Shunta Nakamura seals the 3 points for Sydney United. Pizzana's beaten for the second time. He got fingertips to it, but couldn't keep it out. That is a spectacular strike from their Japanese magician. So much work for so little reward this afternoon, Shunta Nakamura. But that is a goal he'll remember for some time. And one that APIA will as well. Because their premiership dream is slipping away. Just as there was after the first goal, a double change from Franco Parisi. But it might just be too little too late. Nicozoni moving on as an auxiliary forward. Maxim Kasalovic added to the midfield. There's his first touch from his former Mariners teammate, Jordan Segreto. And all that defending has got Sydney United some sort of reward. Gibson! What a save by Callats! Made a brilliant one from a one-on-one in the first half, but that's just as good. Ben Gibson must be wondering what he has to do. Helped out by his defence plenty this afternoon, Oliver Callats, but that save was top class. Segreto from the resulting corner. Not really towards anyone in sky blue. APIA have still got chances for other trophies this season. They've got a championship to chase in the final series. They've got a Waratah Cup campaign that's still alive. And a big Australia Cup tie coming up in a couple of weeks' time as well. But the title that they won last season is slipping. All gone in the space of a couple of weeks. This will be a fourth game without a win in the league. Askew. De Oliveira, who might just be the player of the match today for the defensive work he's got through. It's been superb. Grilic trying to measure one for Anselmi. He's the sort of player who would just love to twist the knife in. Not to be there. Josh Simmons. Gibson making another willing run, but the ball has just not reached him frequently enough over the course of the 90 minutes. Not in areas where he's really been able to hurt Sydney United anyway. Anselmi. Clinic in hold-up play, and then to Robilard's touch letting him down. The ball was played just a couple of yards behind him. Very well done by Cambiasha to keep possession for APIA. Advantage played by Craig Fisher. Stewart. Can they pull off a miracle, APIA? Not with a strike like that. It was tentative from Stewart. Made the clearance rather regulation. Kuda for Detroit. Kasalovic. Segreto in behind, and Zervas happy to just put the ball behind for a corner. And it popped up for him. Well, the possession statistics and the amount of chances both teams have had will tell a very different story to the one on the scoreboard, but Sydney United fans will care little about that. Be a fourth straight victory over APIA Leichhardt for them, unless something late is coming. Kalatz comes to punch. Nakamura completes the job. Zone and Askew and Segreto. And Stewart again. Can he get a shot in this time? Not quite the bend he was looking for. Another APIA chance goes begging. Well, that Kalat's name is so embedded within this football club. Especially Zelko's transfer to Leicester City back in the 90s that paid for the stand we're sitting in right now, bringing you this broadcast from. Now as the head coach, he's taken them up the table after a disappointing couple of years. With the help of his son in goal. Wasn't all going swimmingly at the start of the year. It was a rough little month or so for Sydney United 58 under their new coach, but things have come together nicely. It's a young squad, a regenerated one. They're heading in the right direction. Segreto. He's only managed to get a couple of wins over the sides above them in the league this season, but they were big performances here against Marconi, where they had to come from 2 goals down. And of course the win against APIA Leichhardt at Sydney Olympic Park, where they dominated from start to finish. That's not been the case today. It's been a different kind of victory, but one that will taste just as sweet in the mouths of their supporters and all associated with the club. Sometimes when you have to work so hard for them, they are just that little bit more special. Players out there have put in an all-hands-on-deck performance this afternoon and battled so hard without the ball for so much of it. Now well and truly in control of the match and its outcome. Kalatz forward. Kuda won the header initially to Robillard. APIA's leaky defence has come back to haunt them again, particularly the first goal was one they will feel like they could have dealt with. Anthony Bazanas, considering he got fingertips on it, you don't want to be too harsh on the goalkeeper, but it'll be probably pretty dirty that he wasn't able to keep Nakamura's effort out. It was a spectacular strike though. One of the goals of the year. Let's put the dagger in APIA's hopes this afternoon. Maybe in their chase for the title. Rockdale's opposition might just be down to 1 if they can beat their great old rivals Sydney Olympic. That came immediately following this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel, so don't go anywhere. Kick-off scheduled for 5 o'clock down at Jubilee Stadium. Hasn't been his classiest performance in the heart of midfield today, De Oliveira, but the fight and dogged determination he showed over the course of the 90 minutes had been quite something. Servas has assisted ably. So he's being brought on out of position at right back. Detroit, Stewart, who's tried the right and the left, so now moves central. Gibson, there's just a line of red bodies waiting there. Josh Simmons. Krilic just had it taken off his toe. Kasalovic wide for Askew. Nice little step over. Can he pick out a player? Oh, it's behind Gibson in front of Nicazone. Time the only thing standing between Sydney United and 3 points now. Fourth official state, Blake Sanchez Cruz is ready with the board to indicate to us how much time will be added on. I think it'll only be what was for the goals and some treatment for Lacalandra. One other earlier in the half, and Telmi streaming forward as Oni back to sweep up. Kasalovic. Simmons not wasting time, just goes long. Once again, Kalach showing good command of his penalty area. Sun has set here at Adenza Park. It's set on APIA Leichhardt's title hopes as well. Stewart. One last roll of the dice for the visitors. Stewart still. Gibson with the most space he's seen all day, and still Vlastelica was in the way. He and Kalach between them scrap it clear. Kuda. For Josh Simmons again, there's not too much time remaining for APIA to try and salvage something. Goes himself, wearing the captain's armband with a chino off. Askew. Look how many red bodies are behind the ball. Only Antelmi in front of it. Nakamura joining him only because he sensed Stewart was turning that way. He works a half-hearted effort towards goal. But the United fans know now that the 3 points are as good as safe. Big game coming up for them next weekend. We mentioned that clash between APIA and Rockdale. Next weekend, APIA have got a Waratah Cup semi-final in midweek to look ahead to as well, but Sydney United taking on Marconi down at Marconi Stadium, not far from here in Bosley Park. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff next Saturday night. Looking forward to what could be a tasty clash, and Sydney United could be in the situation where they end two teams' premiership hopes in the space of 2 weekends. Simmons, still full of endeavour. Segreto, easily fielded by Kalach again. Some more applause. And why not? He's had a fine afternoon. Simmons takes the touch, and it will guide it all the way back to Bazanis. Most he's had to do in the last 20 minutes or so. Askew. He's been consistent with his work down the left since coming on, but he's not been able to turn the tide in APIA's favour. Kasalovic as we enter the 4th minute of added time. Stewart. Gibson had it nicked off him by Maya. Segreto. He lines up, and Kalach gathers another one. safely in behind it. The final whistle cannot be far away. APIA have huffed and puffed all afternoon, not able to find a way past one of the best defences in the competition. They're showing their chops ahead of the final series, there's no doubt about that. Kamayashi. A dogged victory, won by Sydney United 58. On a day in which they didn't see much of the football, they didn't see too many opportunities, but took the two that they got. Alessandro Lacalandra slamming the ball home from inside 6 yards before Shunta Nakamura's stunning strike sealed the victory for APIA. Another game goes by without a win. They could be out of the Premiership picture by the end of tonight. Make sure you stick around for Sydney Olympic versus Rockvale. Make sure you join us in midweek for the Waratah Cup semi-final between Blacktown City and APIA Leichhardt as they look to try and win a different piece of silverware and return to the Waratah Cup final for the second straight season. But no luck this afternoon for the visitors who fall at Edensor Park. It's finished there. Sydney United 58-2, APIA Leichhardt 0.